Good day. It is Sunday, June 8th, 2023. Happy New Year. It's Finance Nation here. Rosette is my name. And so, what we're going to talk about today is people with no savings or something to that extent. I opened up a CD online and it said 75% of other people in the United States have an account like yours or savings account like yours. And I didn't know whether they were talking about a CD or about savings just in general. But I was like, well, that leaves 25% without any savings. I mean, now 75% would also include, obviously, people with like $1 in savings, the way this was worded, or 22 cents in savings, $1.50 in savings, or something to that extent. So I started just Googling and doing a little bit of research here. And in 2021, according to MarketWatch, 1 in 5 Americans didn't save any money in 2021. And 18% of respondents admittedly contributed $0 to their savings in that year. So that was really, very different. And then, of course, the savings rate in June 2022, that was about 6 months ago, was 5.1%. And I was looking this up. I think I listed it on my podcast because I also have a podcast. And I was researching the savings rates year by year and month by month. And as it was going down, it was literally going down each month. And it was on the trajectory of only like 2 or 1%. To be headed into January 2023. I didn't look it up right now, but I think last month it was 2.3% in the U.S. So, let's see here. How many adults don't have savings? More than 1 in 3 have less now than they did before the pandemic. This was as of June 23rd, 2022, as reported by The Street, while 10% have no savings at all. Only 24% said they have more, while 34% are all at the same financial place. The latest study from financial services company Bankrate has found... Oh, so I thought it was The Street. It looks like it could have been on The Street or Bankrate. But it looks like it's either one or both. So that was something that was, really shocking. And then, when you think about something as simple as some people getting a prenup or postnup for their wedding vows to protect their savings, and not just their savings, but their debt, because debt can happen in marriage and asset growth happens in marriage. And all of these other things. And then if you have a significant age difference, like if someone, either female or male, is 40 years old and the other person is 20-something years old, there could be more earning power with the 20-something-year-old, but the 40-something-year-old could have more money saved. And being that about maybe 50% of marriages in a divorce, then you've got a dilemma there, even if the younger person has more earning power, because you've got something, that person that's older is going to be reaching retirement sooner, is going to be more reliant on that asset growth. And if they have to give up half of that in the event of a divorce, then that is more, dangerous for them. So, I can't believe this question is listed here, but it says, do you really need a savings account? So, there's been certain people who will, a huge percentage of bankruptcies are due to medical debt. And so what happens is, do you really say the reason why you have no money is because your medical bills, if like your medical bills are, say, less than $10,000 that you could have realistically potentially have saved. And with that said, you would have had no money if you had the savings, because you would have used that to pay, you would have had the cash to pay that. And it sounds really harsh because you're like, you need medical care to live. It is a necessity, and it shouldn't be something. There's this hypothetical, there are people who say that, of course, there shouldn't be this thing where it is this huge expense, and some people will say that people are hurting at the exploitation of people getting rich at someone's cost to want to survive. And while others say, well, also sounds pretty strong, but just as strong might say, well, go to another country where they have socialized medicine or something to that extent. So those are a few different things here. Let's see here. The savings rates and debt levels. That was the other thing. So debt levels in US, it is 16.51 trillion, but that is arbitrary. That doesn't mean anything because it's just, that's household debt increasing by $351 billion in 2022, only 2.2%, to 16.51 trillion. So, I mean, that just puts arbitrary numbers. It doesn't really do anything when it just says, but you can literally take the number per household, and that also includes, of course, like mortgages. If someone makes $1 million a year and they get a mortgage on a $5 million house, then they have debt of $5 million. So that's also something to consider in that 16.5 trillion. And then, things like something as simple as a billionaire such as Elon Musk, I believe during the pandemic when the interest rates were lowered, they said, it was reported that he had taken out a loan against his stock assets on Tesla. I could be wording that wrong. There could be more to it. You could look it up. But basically, the thing is, the point that I'm saying is that loans don't count as income. Now, don't take my word for it. Don't go out, start taking loans and be on your assets, be like, oh, this doesn't count as income because Finance Nation said so. Of course, get a tax advisor, get all that other stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But, this was the idea that the loan would be income, and he would get not income, but be like cash flow for him, and he could have a low payment. And of course, Tesla doesn't pay dividends, so he's not getting income on that. And so that was the thing. Just how many Americans are in debt? According to financial experts, the percentage of Americans in debt is around 80%. 8 in 10 Americans have some form of consumer debt, and the average debt is $38,000, not including mortgage debt. Well, $38,000 could, unfortunately be it like a luxury car. It could be medical debt, and of course, credit card debt, because I think the credit card debt was smaller than that when I looked at it. The average credit card debt was less than $10,000. So, I'm going to look that up real quick. Credit card debt, credit card levels in the U.S. Here we go. And Americans' total credit card balances is $925 billion in the third quarter of 2022. So we have the fourth quarter, October through December of 2022. So that might have gone up during that quarter for Halloween candy, Thanksgiving turkeys, and Christmas presents. However, what percentage of Americans are in credit card debt? 83% of Americans own at least one credit card, but it doesn't say that it was 83% of them in credit card debt. It didn't answer that question. It says there are 1.1 billion credit cards in the U.S. Wow. So, I mean, there are only like 300 or 400 million Americans, and not all of them are eligible for a credit card until they turn 18. So people must be having like 10, 20 credit cards for there to be 1.1 billion credit cards in the U.S. as of 2022. The average credit card debt of U.S. families is $6,270. So that is like both, I guess, husband and wife, or partnerships, and so on and so forth. How many Americans have over 10K in credit card debt? 14 million Americans. Well, that could be really high because not everyone earns enough money to pay 10K credit card debt. And so if you were single and you had 10K, that would see something. But it says, although 6% may seem like a small amount, that means that based on survey results, 14 million Americans have over 10,000 of credit card debt. So that is, I guess, the individual, not the household. So a household, one person could have 5,000, another person could have 5,000, and that is not included in the 10K of credit card debt, because it was stating just individuals. And the credit card debt is going up because in 2022 the average credit card debt was $6,270, and in 2021 it showed the average credit card balance in the third quarter for 2021 was actually lower at $5,221, and third quarter 2022 was $6,004. So, and then what did it say? As of 2022, this other one, I don't know if that's fourth quarter. It was December 20. So almost the end of the fourth quarter, almost the end of the year, the $6,270. So it did go up even after that announcement of the $6,004. How much has credit card debt increased in 2022? So, of course, another arbitrary number, $39.6 billion. And the average credit card debt, it doesn't say what year that is. So, but this is an announcement that it listed like, and it says the average household debt is like a high number, and again it is higher than the $6,270, but of course that's household, so it includes like one partner, one wife, or one husband, or one husband and one wife, basically doing that as well. So how much does the average person owe on credit cards? Okay, and then it drops through that. What does debt go away after 7 years in the USA? Oh, so that's talking about credit reports. The debt itself does not expire or disappear until you pay it. Under the Fair Reporting Act, debts can appear on your credit report generally for 7 years, and in few cases longer than that. So that's also included like bankruptcies, I know for sure, right? That could stay on there for some certain types of bankruptcies can stay on for longer. But you can research your own debt and find out how long your debt is expected to stay on there. So what percentage of Americans are debt free? Less than 25%. So, but that also includes that they don't have a mortgage. It's not, if you included people that only have a mortgage, that would be a lot higher, I think, than 25%. And like this is an arbitrary number itself. Like this one was reported the average American debt in America as of September 2022 was $96,371, but that includes student loans, that includes mortgages, credit card balances, and more. So when you start taking in things that throw the figure off, like however you look at it, I think it would be much more specific, and it's saying, okay, this is student loan debt, this is credit card debt, this is mortgages. According to Motley Fool, this one says, what's the normal debt at 40? Oh my gosh. So the highest debt at credit card balances at 40, the average is $9,379, and the average balance across the nation in 2021 reported by Motley Fool was $6,100. Now, of course, I just said it was like 5,000 something according to I think that was Experian earlier. And so I'm spending a lot more time on debt, but that's let me stop doing that and go off to net worth, because I'm spending net worth, investment. How about at 65? Because that was something that was really the average net worth of Americans age 65 to age 70 and early to 74. Let's see here. I'm going to click on this one. It had said $266,000, but I just clicked on it. The median U.S. household net worth in the nation is $121,700, but people in their late 60s and early 70s is $266,400. The average net worth for the age bracket is $1,217,000. So that is different. If you're trying to retire off of that, then you might be a little bit more reliant on a program such as Social Security income, and then you'd want to be, if you're right at that median. The median is the middle, so half the people in their late 60s and early 70s have more than $266,400, and half the people have less. So if you're right in that range, then you might be more reliant on Social Security, or you're more going to be more reliant on a part-time job. And to be in that situation for, for whatever reason that you feel like maybe is not undoing, not your fault, or you can't do anything about the past. You can only do anything about the future. And so if you're unable to work, then that is something to consider. You could be like, well, I can still save and be disciplined about it and be indignant about it and say, whatever happens, I'm going to ignore the fact that I can't cut expenses. Because if you really couldn't save, then you would possibly be under every single month. You wouldn't be getting to zero at the end of the month. You really couldn't. You really would be negative. You'd be getting further and further in debt each month. So that's another thing to consider, that yes, it's possibly possible for you to save, because what you're really doing is, if they started charging for oxygen, you would find a way to pay it. And so that's something to consider. Let's see here. What is a good net worth at the age 65? Okay, so these are the 35 to 44, 91,300. Age 65 to age 74, the median net worth is $266,400,000. But this includes like celebrities and, typical rich people in the news. Includes CEOs when they include the average of the 1.2 million, and even the median that half the people are above that. It also includes extremes on the low end as well. What net worth is considered rich? So it's not a million, it's 2.2 million. So with inflation, it's not even a million anymore. You're not considered rich at $1 million. You're considered rich at 2.2 million. And what percentage of retirees have $1 million? Statistically, around 10% of retirees have 1 million or more in savings. So is that good or is that bad? I mean, you possibly will need the amount that Fidelity had mentioned back in like 2016 was about, I think it was 280,000 for one individual at age 65. I think it was back in 2016 or something like that. To just on medical bills and estimated medical bills for the rest of their life at age 65. So that is very distressful because you're like, if you have $1 million, you're going to count like almost a third of your net worth towards medical bills. And yes, there's HSAs, but that is something to consider. You want to have an HSA for the purpose of possibly using it towards a medical bill. How much do you really need to save for retirement? So there's calculators online that can be useful, and some of them are going to be more helpful you're going to be more optimistic to you than others. Not helpful, but they're all going to be helpful, I think, possibly for you. But they're going to be more optimistic for you than others. But one financial individual says you can't do something without a plan. So it doesn't mean for you to go out and spend money and get a certified financial planner. You can look up free financial plans online. You can Google them on YouTube and stuff like that. So you have a financial plan and you can